So I was left with a pretty harsh decision, and my goal was to at least try to make it to WrestleMania, because AIW going to WrestleMania is amazing, and I wanted to be in that ring. But when they start talking about spinal fusion, and I start seeing the family members of mine that were pro wrestlers that went down that road, it's not a very good road. So I'm doing all I can to heal up these fractures and not have to have a spinal fusion surgery. So that means I have to step out of what I love probably more than anything.
We f***ing love you.
I like you. I'd like to date around a little bit, though.
Buying breakfast.
Thank you very much.
Right.
So, all I ever wanted was to be good at this.
Take it down. Take it down. Take it down. Take it down. Down. Take it down. Take it down. Take it down. Down. Take it down. Take it down. Take it down. Down. Take it down. Take it down. Take it down.
I started watching wrestling when I was 3 years old, and I started going to the matches when I was 5. My uncle ran a show with Wildwood McDaniel, and I had him called off, and they were a bloody mess in the 9-minute spectacular in St. Mary's, West Virginia. And I was scared of them. I was scared of Lord Zoltan. I'm still kind of scared of Lord Zoltan. But I knew that all I ever wanted to be was a pro wrestler. And I never told anybody.
I grew up around wrestling. I mean, not just as a fan, which I have been, ever since I can remember. My uncle was a wrestler. So wrestling wasn't ever something that was weird to me. Like, I grew up around Chris Hamrick and Ricky Morton and those guys. Like, they were just people I knew. So being a wrestler never seemed like a weird choice to me, like as a career. And it wasn't until I got into like middle school and high school, and just like everyone else, I was ruined by society. And it was like, oh, I should be ashamed to be a wrestling fan. This isn't popular anymore. And so I kind of was a closeted wrestling fan for a long time, but it was something that I was completely obsessed with.
I grew up with nothing, guys. I'm not trying to be dramatic, but I grew up with nothing. I mean, the only meal I had was at school, and I didn't have a nurturing environment. All I ever had was wrestling.
I would study tapes of like Ric Flair and stuff when I was a kid, and just watch it over and over and over, and it was really all I cared about. So I had a lot of free time. So I just obsessed over wrestling, dude. Like, I wrote promos, even as a kid. I was just totally obsessed with it. And it wasn't until my senior year, and I talked about this in my little speech I did after my last match there. I wrote an essay about how I wanted to be a wrestler.
And I had this psychology class in high school, and I had this teacher named Mr. Dennis, and I really liked him. I don't know why. He was a nice guy, but I really connected with him. And he made us write an essay a month before graduation. He said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I took a test in 5th grade, and they said I should have been a mechanic. In the ring, maybe. I wrote my essay, and it was three or four pages, and I cut out a picture of the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. And I pasted it to the last page, and the title of my essay was, "When I graduate high school, I want to be a professional wrestler." And I turned it in, and immediately regretted it. Because I thought that he would read that and give it back to me and give me an F, or tell me to do it again, or tell me that I should be a mechanic. I didn't have anybody else around believing in me at the time. But Mr. Dennis gave it back to me a week later. And I put it in my bag and I left. I got out to my car. I went to the back page and it said, Chris, that's my name by the way, hi. It said, Chris, somebody's got to be a professional wrestler. Why not you?
So I just started doing it. So I started wrestling when I was 18.
And I'm here to do the one thing that I do best, that is be the sexiest man alive.
And I did it for about 5 years consistently, you know, and that was a hard time for wrestling, dude. I was like 04 to 09, something like that. It was a weird time. Like, it wasn't like it is now.
My first match was a surprise. I trained for 6 months, and my first match was on the same card as Jeff Jarrett and Dusty Rhodes. Wow. I didn't wrestle Dusty Rhodes. I tagged up with a guy in a clown suit on a scooter. But Dusty sat in the back and watched every single match to the curtain, and I was petrified because I didn't know what I was doing. But I got to the back, and I saw Dusty standing there, and I said, hello, Mr. Rhodes, and he said, you call me Virgil. I said, I'd really like to call you Dusty. I said, that's fine. He said, if you have any advice for me, anything you can tell me. And he said, how long have you been working? I said, about 8 minutes. He said, you learning. You learning. And then I went and wiped the poop out of my pants. And I kept going for 3 or 4 years, almost 5. Mental health got the best of me.
Like, everything that was on was like TNA, and Ring of Honor was just starting up, and I was just trying to like get signed someplace so I could just like have a job, you know? So I was trying to be what I thought those places would want and not being the wrestler I wanted to be. So I just got really disenchanted with it. And I got really down about wrestling, and like my life was hard, dude. Like, I didn't have any support or anything. And it's like, I was driving up to Cleveland for JT Lightning shows, which nothing against JT, but where I was on the card, I wasn't exactly making any money. And I was like driving my old beat up car hoping I drove back from Cleveland one time without brakes. But like, that was a hard life. And then like, honestly, and I can't remember if I ever talked about this or not, but I was actually like, I didn't have a place to live for a while. I mean, you know, I'm like 20, you know, so it was just hard. And so I kind of got out of it just because I couldn't afford to be a wrestler, and I was really down about it. And so I went away from wrestling for a while.
For about 7 or 8 years. And the whole time I got out the wrong way. I just quit coming. I just quit going on my bookings. I got really fat, and I got really lost. And then I found theater, and I found friends, and I found a place where I belonged, and I started to get a little stronger. I started to believe in myself just a little bit more. I met a woman while I was doing the Rocky Horror Show. So that's weird. We ended up getting together and getting married, and she always asked me why, because I always talked about wrestling, and I would glow when I talked about wrestling, not like glow like the gorgeous ladies, but I would get really excited, and I talked about wrestling, and she said, well, why don't you do it? And I didn't have a good answer.
I think in terms of just who I am and my nature, I am an encourager. I'm a firm believer that if you are not happy in your life, then you should do whatever it absolutely takes to change whatever you're doing and just go do something else. You should always be looking for something that makes you feel fulfilled and happy and excited to just go out there and do it. When we were first together, I would hear Chris talk about wrestling, and he had this excitement about him, and he was really, really into it. I could just tell that it was something that was really important to him on many levels. But I also could see that the way that he left wrestling the first time when he took the break was something that was weighing on him. And I don't always think that he has the mentality that he's able to do whatever he wants, honestly, within reason. And that is kind of where I think I came in for him.
I was just talking to her about wrestling, and she's like, well, why in the hell don't you go back and try it again, you know? And I just made one phone call, and I was booked on a show on my 30th birthday.
So when I came back to wrestling, I made the same mistakes. I made the exact same mistakes I made the first time. I didn't really know what to do. I was overthinking things. The biggest help I had this time was my wife, she's been in theater for like her whole life, and she was the one who I would bounce ideas off of, and she'd be like, why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't get it. What do you mean? You know, because I was trying to come up with all these concepts, and she was like, just be simple, think simple, think simple. Like, I wasn't really gelling with it, and I was really getting down on it, going down the exact same path.
Yes, so Chris had just had a match with a tag partner at the time, and he had wrestled Devon Dudley, and it was a wonderful match, and I think people were really excited about it, and he was really excited about it, and it went well, and he looked good, and I mean, the match just, in my opinion, I don't think could have gone better, and we were sitting at Applebee's afterwards, kind of having some dinner and recapping what happened, and he just seemed really still down about it after the fact that he had just experienced and been part of this amazing match.
And we tore the house down. I mean, we tore the house down. It was awesome. And I was sitting at the restaurant with my wife after, and I was down. And she was just like, what is wrong? Like, you know, it was this big, amazing night. What is wrong with you? And I was like, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling the character. And she's like, well, what is it that you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. And I told her some dumb ideas I had. And she's like, I think that's dumb. I was like, listen.
And so we started talking about why he felt that way. And he, I think, still didn't have a sense that he was being himself and being true to, I think, the character. It wasn't clicking for him. The character wasn't clicking. And so I asked him, well, what do you like what are the characters that you like? Like, what do they have in common?
Rick Rude, Ric Flair, Terry Funk, you know, like I named off all these people, Andy Kaufman. And she was like, okay, why?
And they're out of this world, and they're over the top, and they're just themselves, and they're not afraid to be zany and all this stuff. And I was like, then why don't you just do that? And he was just like, oh, yeah, I guess why don't I just do that?
And it was just like light bulbs. I was like, oh my God, yeah, it's that simple.
It's a packed house.
Oh, they are. Derek Cocorella Monsoon and say they're literally hanging from the rafters here tonight as CK second turnbuckle on the inside. Fontaine cuts him off. Those very dangerous fists come into play again. CK up and over. And he just walked over top of Draven to get momentum. And now, didn't pay off. Goodbye. CK's about 6'5", 260, but Fontaine used his momentum against him.
What's he going for here? No way!
Catapult!
Oh!
CK into the steal!
Once I realized that, you know, wrestling was theater, when I went back to it and I realized it was just theater, that's when it all kind of clicked anyway, but...
All right, okay. My turn, all right? Or CK? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the nasally, hacky, derivative comedy of a little white man with a ponytail like Gene Simmons, whose only acting experience is as a failed, rejected extra in Point Break. The remake.
But I'm like, I'm going to be what I want to be in wrestling. I'm going to be the characters that I love, like, you know, the type of wrestler I would want to watch.
As Magnum CK, maybe going a little bit of Terry Funk here. Pollock got it. Pollock got it again. Pollock's not getting this. Oh!
And that's when I started kind of getting a little popular and started having some success, you know.
Sampson, who met Shane in Wheeling, that went to a disqualification. You gotta believe that Shane in your face would love to do that to Jock Sampson as well, the orchestrator of the plan.
And Magnum's out into the crowd. I'm not sure he knows where he's at. He's confused as to how all these people ended up in his kitchen.
He's like Mark Lewin in Detroit. He's so banged up, he's just wandering around, has no clue where he is. He's delirious.
No, he's good. He's good. Look.
Magnum CK. I don't think he remembers the match happened.
It's probably for the best, to be honest, Joe.
And so the first thing I did, I ordered a big glittery red cape. Like a graduation gown almost, but nobody was wearing those. So I was like, okay, well, let me just order one of those. And I remember it coming in the mail and I put it on and I was like, this changes everything. Like, I was walking around my living room, my wife's laughing at me because I'm like, no. This is like, people are gonna book the cape. And I was right. My wife and I were going to New York to see some Broadway shows. And so literally we're doing a show in the middle of Ohio. And then after the show, just driving up to New York overnight. So I thought, well, I want to really make her laugh. And there's this song that Andy Kaufman used to use. And it's a cappella, and it's just big, regal, like pretentious song. It's about 1.5 minutes long. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna come out to this song. And I was like, watch, I'm gonna go as slow as I can to get to the ring. And I'm gonna make them play it twice. It's gonna take me at least 3 minutes to get in the ring. And so, I don't know if she thought it was funny or not, but I was trying to make her laugh. And so I did it. Thank God I did, because everybody hated me, which was my job, right? But I would literally walk into every locker room and be like, I'm going to be the nicest dude here. I don't care. Like, I'm just going to be as positive as I can. I'm going to be as nice as I can. And that paid dividends, dude. Like, I got booked at AIW not because I sent them a tape. I was just a real, genuine, nice human being. And next thing I know, I got a phone call like, hey, you want to come join this thing called The Production?
It's so hard to make the general public even understand what independent wrestling is at all. No, that's really what AIW is. AIW is independent wrestling promotion based in Cleveland, Ohio.
I'd gotten contacted by John Thorne at AIW, which was like a dream booking for me. But I'm not very good about bothering people. Like I always say, like, I don't want to be a schnurr. I don't want to be a bother. I don't want to be like, hey, I want to work for you. Because everyone's kind of doing that. So I guess my dream was that some of these places would just find me, I guess. And in a way that kind of happened. I'd met Chandler Biggins, who helped run AIW, and he and I kept in contact for years and about non-wrestling things. And
Chandler Biggins, Chris Bryan, he didn't start AIW with me, but he became involved, like, I would say by the second or third show. It's kind of weird actually talking about him. Today is his birthday, would have been his birthday. He's a guy that, you meet so many unique people when you're involved in wrestling. Some people you can't stand and some people you instantly click with, and that's how Chandler was with me. It was just myself and Chandler, and it was our company, he was just one of those guys that you could communicate, like him and I could communicate. We wouldn't even have to talk. He would know what I was thinking, and I would know what he was thinking. When he got sick, there was a lot of me that didn't want to continue doing AIW because, like all the late night phone calls and the text messages and what are we gonna do or what's going on with this person, like. That was all gone, and I kind of had this weird transition period. He was a very impactful person. You don't expect somebody to die at that young of an age, and it was a very difficult thing for a while for me to do.
John Thorne and I had a mutual friend named Chandler Biggins who was literally dying in the hospital while we were at a wrestling show.
He almost died that day, and Shayna and I had to go to the hospital because his mom called me and to come say goodbye. And it was a brutal scene. Like, it was one of the most awful things I ever saw in my life.
And I just went up to John and talked to him for like 25 minutes about Chandler. I didn't talk about wrestling. I didn't sell myself. I had no intention on pressing him for a booking. I just saw John Thorne, the promoter, as John Thorne, the human being whose best friend was dying in a hospital. And I just felt such sadness for that.
And I'll never forget, Magnum CK came up and talked to me. That was the first time, to my knowledge, that I remember speaking to him. And he was he was crying. And he just wanted to tell me, how upset he was. He kind of offered, like, his support to me. And we'd never met each other before, which is kind of this weird, mutual friend that we had, and he was about to die, and that's the first time I met Magnum. But from there, Magnum and I started talking, and I came up with this idea for him.
Words, BB Smooth. You're very good at words, but you're not good at watching your back, are you? Magnum CK, the supporting lead, makes his debut in AIW. And on November 24th, Black Friday, begins the winter of your discontent.
So when I went to do AIW, I knew I was petrified, completely petrified, because I didn't know what to expect. Because first of all, Cleveland weighed heavy on me, because that's where I always wanted to kind of make it. Ever since I was younger, I always wanted to be popular. And when I wrestled in Cleveland years ago, I was just beaten up by the local guys, and I was the guy who would run out and just get punched in the face and beaten up, and I didn't really have a good run in Cleveland, and nobody knew who I was. Nobody knew me from Adam in the crowd. And I thought, well, let me just try this entrance. Maybe at the very least, they'll remember that. So my music hits. I'm with a group, the production. They put me in this group called the production. So my music hits. I throw my arms out. I walk as slow as possible. I start to go around the ring. And then I realize the fans at AIW, I didn't know, they stand up during the entrances a lot. And then when I went to go around the ring, the guardrail in the ring, they were like two or 3 feet apart. And I'm a tall guy, so my arm span's like 6.5 feet. And I was like, well, what do I do? Because I'm trying to do this entrance where my arms are just straight out and I don't have any room, I thought, well, I'm a bad guy and I'm obviously full of myself. I got my nose, literally my nose up in the air. I was like, well, I'm not moving. So I just kept walking and I just started, like, people were ducking. I'm like paintbrushing guys in the face and stuff. And then, like, you know, a guy had a hat on. I grabbed it and threw it, you know, stuff like that. Stuff I never thought of, just went with in the moment. And they loved it. From, like, immediately I felt the crowd was with me just from that stupid, pretentious, cocky, like, dickhead entrance. And I felt so much less nervous about that crowd, because that AIW crowd, I mean, especially now, but even a couple of years ago when I started there, they had seen so much. I mean, I thought they were going to be like bloodthirsty, like give us more type of land on your neck crowd. You know, I didn't know what to expect, but in my mind, it was like, I was like, I'm going to have to cut my head off to get a reaction or something. So I went the other way.
You've definitely got an eye for talent. We'll see if that leads to an eye for victory, as Magnum CK looks to be putting a figure 4 leg lock perhaps. Oh boy. Yeah! And the pain etched on the face of PB Smooth as his left knee is just being torn asunder. And listen to these fans getting behind your guy.
I thought, no one's doing the Terry Funk stuff. No one's doing the, like, 60s Bobby Heenan, you know, egg on your face type of trip over the rope type of stuff, or you know, getting punched and making dumb faces. And I was like, well, let me just simplify it. And so my whole goal was stand out, first of all. Stand out, make them remember me, know what this Magnum CK, whatever it is, I was still figuring it out, but let them know what this is. But also make my opponent look like $1 million. And that was an important lesson I learned a long time ago as a performer, where if we're all trying to help each other look the best as possible, then we all look great.
Yeah!
And they were reacting to all this stuff. Just simple old little 70s, 80s type stuff. And no one else on the card's doing that stuff. So it really stuck out. I was like, okay. And then something popped in my head, like a phrase. Like I hadn't even thought of it, but it just popped in my head. We did another thing. We get back in the ring, and I hit another big move later.
He's doing. I like it. I approve. I'm very uncultured. I didn't pick up on that. My apologies. Oh, boy! A mammoth elbow smash from the...
And just popped up. And just to the crowd, just yelled, "Are you not sports entertained?"
And there, in attempt.
And they just like laughed and reacted to it. And I was like, man, so like, it's just funny when you get to a point where you can just be open as a performer, the character finds you. And that was the mistake I'd been making for years, was I was breaking my neck trying to find this character when really it just happened to me.
In today's day and age, that is an art that's kind of gone by the wayside, is the art of a good promo. And I've always looked at you as someone where you push that record button, you're just going to go.
You know, these are tumultuous times for AIW. A lot of choppy waves. A lot of storms on the horizon. We've got Peanut Butter Smooth talking about burning down people's kayaks, talking about vandalizing paddle boats. I don't know what this guy's talking about, but I'll deal with him soon. Right now, over my horizon, in the very short future, this Friday, Music Links Mentor on the Lake Ohio, PME. Brothers, I came down to the playground. Because I thought we could settle this on the schoolyard. I thought I'd find you on your lunch break after nap time. Maybe I wouldn't have to embarrass you in front of everybody else.
I don't think anybody has clicked faster than Magnum CK with understanding AIW and how we do things and connecting with the crowd. And he was like such like a self motivator. The fans gravitate to him, and he was just doing his job, but he was taking initiative, which so many wrestlers don't do.
You know, it's no secret and it's no surprise either that every single week that goes by, more and more people get sports entertained by Magnum CK. Every week that goes by, more opportunities come flying right at Magnum CK. And every week that goes by, more and more gold gets draped right over Magnum CK's shoulders. That's no coincidence. That's the world finally waking up and realizing that Magnum CK is sports entertainment. We're talking about what? We're talking about Sunday. We're talking about Black Diamond Wrestling for the first time ever. Magnum CK against Andrew Palace. Palace, like what? Like royalty? Like a king? You see, you can tell a lot about a man by his name, especially the one he gives himself. I call myself Magnum CK because it just so happens that's what's on my birth certificate now. You know, New Jersey always feels a little bit different when Magnum CK comes to town, and I just got the note, I got the call, they said, Steven Pena, he's got all this talent, he just wants an opportunity. And then we talk about Kit Osborne, what's his name? Is it Osborne? Kid Osborne, I can't even keep track. He's a good kid. I tell you what, I got the call, I said, let's give him a chance, let's team him up, because I heard they're both as thick as manure, but only half as useful. And then they said, speaking of manure, Bobby Orlando, he brings a goat to the ring. That's fine with me. He's eccentric, I'm eccentric. I need someone out there fighting. Because when Magnum CK comes to town, everybody in New Jersey is sports entertained. Thank you very much. Thank you very kind. You can never know me. You see, I'm an actor, I'm an entertainer, I'm a performer. What I do is take everything around me, shatter it into a million pieces, put it back together my way, and sell it back to the world. You can never know me, Chance Prophet, because you can never know a man who has 1,000 faces. But what if I told you, Chance Prophet, that one of those faces was your very own? You see, if you want to beat me on August 11th, Chance Prophet, you will have to do what so many other people have tried to do but failed. If you want to beat me, Chance Prophet, you will have to face yourself. Hi.
He was filming promos and, going to New York just to film himself eating a jar of peanut butter, sending me these videos. I was just like, man, this guy's great. It's like pulling teeth to get a wrestler to be able to do something for you. And I wasn't even asking him to do stuff. He was just sending me things.
Right.
You see, boys, kids, by now you know exactly what it means to be in the ring with Magnum CK. You know how it feels. You know when the breath leaves your body and you just can't get it back, when your throat's on fire, your chest looks like hamburger meat. 1,000 eyes all around you making you question every decision you ever made that led you to the day when you were in the ring with Magnum CK. The 23rd will be no different. The only slight variation is that it will be your last chance as you lay in the middle of my ring and you see me fly off the top right toward you. As the last light leaves your eyes, you will hear one refrain. Are you not supposed to pay? And they will be.
And from there he just clicked and started evolving more. And he developed this reputation that he could make anybody in the locker room look good.
The party attitude, the party atmosphere fool you.
Oh, what? Come on, Tom, bring the bell. That is blatant disqualification. Oh, come on now. Hey.
Magnum CK seems to have lost that advantage that he had.
Hey, come on, this isn't right. Oh, wow. Oh, Tom, do something. This isn't right. Derek, get in there.
Worldwide finally just about sent Magnum CK out of the ring. He managed to catch himself.
Bunch of dirty cheaters, you ask me.
A little punch drunk in there now. Not to be confused with Worldwide, who's probably just drunk.
Worldwide usually is drunk. Oh, no.
And the Redwood gets chopped down, Magnum CK.
And no matter who he was wrestling, whether it was a student or...
All right, now it's Philly Collins just getting run over by Magnum CK. Using some of that momentum he's been building here in AIW.
Wonder if we'll see Tom Dunn dance in this contest.
One can hope. Who knows? BME, it's hard not to have a good time when they're around. Right now, Philly Collins and Magnum CK going hold for hold. Kicking each other away. The body slam. Leg sweep by Philly, not even a 1 count. Philly to his feet. Magnum sweeps his leg out. He gets a 1 count before the kick out.
Look at the big man move. Philly Collins light on his feet.
Just on the weekends?
Who's called out before? Save life.
Magnum CK puffing himself up.
No.
Pretty Boy with ease picks him up on his shoulders.
Magnum CK rolling through, looking for the roll up. He'd be looking for the kick. He finds himself rolled up one more time. 1 count out of Magnum CK. Looking for the boot. PB to the side. Ducks the clothesline attempt. Kick to the midsection from CK.
Now, Magnum CK usually shouts something about sports entertainment. Now he's shouting wrestling.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Has he shifted gears, Wadsworth, that I'm not aware of, or what?
You saw some incredible wrestling combinations. Now he's trying to suplex. They're fresh to death. That is not working to his advantage. Up and over, lands on its feet. Leapfrog going for one the other way, and he is caught with ease.
A bigger name guy, he was just kind of like that guy that you could rely on.
Swoggle.
Hey, wait. Why don't you pick on someone your own self?
Oh, Magnum CK.
I mean, he's being a gentleman. You could say that at least. This guy's still taller than him.
He does have about 2 inches on him still, on his knees.
You ain't got nothing, meatball. That's That's a movie line. I got movie lines all night, Wadsworth.
All the production 0 for 1 tonight. They're in position to have a really big weekend.
That's a rough opening night for them. Hopefully the matinee's better tomorrow.
Frankie Flynn on the outs, of course.
Oh, wow. How you like them apples? See, I got movie lines all night. Shannon, did you get that? Stop recording.
Side headlock.
Good agility on your knees there by Magnum.
And, dropping back down.
You go there. Make go. Fuck it.
Oh, one more time.
This match might be.
One more, little man.
Well, he's got one more, and let's see. Oh, wow.
Drop down by. And whoa. Oh, drop down. He's hip tossed by Swoggle. Arm drag by Swoggle.
Feel the power of the leprechaun.
Oh, wow. Scoop and a slam by Swoggle.
Derek, you better get your actor in gear, buddy. What's going on here? He's forgetting his blocking. And, he didn't forget that blocking.
Self-motivated wrestler, which is so lacking in this day and age, because we're kind of in the day and age where guys wrestle for gifts, and they think the gift is going to get them a booking, and that's all they care about is they live and die by a move. And Magnum was so much more of a well-rounded performer.
I want to say the stigma of mental health is it's a waste of time. If I broke my arm tonight, I'd go right to the hospital. I mean, probably. There's an after party, but after that. But if you have an issue, if you're depressed, even if you're a little depressed, if you're depressed, if you have anxiety, I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, catastrophizing type, ADHD, and OCD.
I think the difference between the thought patterns that Chris gets into surrounding wrestling is that although I know he's very confident, as he should be, about what he brings to a match and what he brings to, the ring, whenever he's in there, I do know that he is very confident about that, but I also know that he is also very sensitive and can allow himself to be influenced by outside factors. And you don't have that a lot in normal life. I mean, you might have your circle of friends or a couple of outsiders, and you might do something and you might hear, oh, that person thought that was, but it's different when you are much more in the public eye.
I honestly can't imagine I can't imagine I would have Twitter or something if I was just a regular person. It's very professional in the sense that it's about work. I don't if my aunt tags me on something on Facebook, I politely untag myself. Just because it's not I don't know, I just want to do stupid shit. I want to write jokes and stuff. That's mainly what I use Twitter for. So I don't really juggle it because I keep my other stuff far buried.
And I think thankfully for him, he's met so many wonderfully supportive people and people that are just crazy about him and that appreciate everything he's been doing with wrestling and for wrestling. But he also has a lot of people that are just jerks.
I just knowing that people are dumb and that the more people there are together, the dumber the collective group will be. One person is smart. Two people, smart, fine. You get 4, 5, definitely there's one idiot. And they will influence the whole bunch. So people, I remember some guy was there's some fan who is a wrestling fan. He always comments on my stuff. Apparently calls into Howard Stern and stuff. And he's like, yeah man, I hope you don't mind me ragging on you. I'm just trying to keep up the gimmick. I'm like, excuse me? You're a fan? And so it made me realize, they're playing along and whatever too.
I mean, I can't imagine, number one, but it doesn't take much to make you start to doubt, even the most confident person to start to doubt what they're doing or what they did or what they're trying to do.
No, because I don't put my personal stuff out there. Right? I'm sure if I had a newborn son and I put him out there and somebody wrote, hey, this looks like a piece of shit, then I would be offended. But if it's just like jokes and stuff, the best is when I put out like some sort of sarcastic tweet of like crying in the shower, and then a fan DMs me and says, "Hey man, I hope everything's okay." I'm like, oh no, now I feel really bad.
It's always kind of been, I think, a little bit of a self-conscious thing for him. So when somebody talks about one of the moves he did looking like this, or, oh, you're not whatever to this person, or I don't know, even commenting on, the way he looked in this match. I mean, that's something that, again, with his thought pattern, specifically, it would be hard for anybody, but specifically with the way that Chris thinks, it's hard for him to let that go.
The negative thing will always be louder. And anytime I'm upset by someone saying I'm a piece of shit, it'll bring me very down. But if someone says I'm great, it doesn't even bring me up that high. It's like I'm only affected, you know what I mean? It doesn't equal the negativity. It's not like the opposite end. So it's just like, I'm just affected by negativity. Like, that's terrible. And then, what else was I gonna say? Like, that's what they came there to do, is like complain about stuff. Some people, like some older women in my family, like to go to a clothing store so they could find a shirt with a stain on it, so they can complain about it, so they can get 10% off. People like having solvable, simple problems, and like commenting on their stuff is like a really good way for them to deal with that. So I think performers and whatever should accept that. Not like, if people are being dicks or whatever, like, tell them to go f*** themselves. I'm sorry, is this going out to classrooms?
He does have periods, struggling with some of the issues that from time to time that he has with being depressed and just having anxiety. And it's hard for him sometimes when he senses that negativity or people are spewing negative comments at him. It's hard to keep yourself up here when, your mind sometimes is down here. And I think that's something that he struggled with, especially early on. It seemed to be much more of an issue, but I think that was a constant struggle, I think, throughout this whole journey. No matter at his most confident level, there was always that sense that one comment could just really bring down this incredible journey and career, and I would tell, who cares? Like, these people are nobody, but, I put myself in his shoes, and I think about, just as a person that doesn't suffer from, obsessive thoughts, that would bring me down. And so for somebody that's just going over and over and over it, it was a really hard thing to watch. And, especially because I'd never seen that in other aspects of his life. I've seen him be exceptionally confident as an actor, and I've seen him be exceptionally confident as a human, like just in his day-to-day life. So to see that doubt and that uncertainty about what he was doing and what people thought about him, and if he was doing the right thing or making the right choice or wearing the right colors or, whatever or doing the right moves, it was different. And I felt for him, because I know it's got to be hard.
I think I'm the most accepting of not being together. I think that's what it is. I've tried to stop living in denial. I see people drink a lot and I go, what are you hiding? And people tell me what drugs they're doing, and then when they tell me that, I just hear what personality disorders they have. I'm like, oh, okay. You must have a social anxiety. So it's just like, embrace it. You put yourself out. I was like obsessed with like imperfect people who put themselves out there. And I was like, well, if we're all imperfect, then we should just embrace it. I'm also, the other thing is a girl I dated for 3 weeks told me I was a passive-aggressive alpha male. And I went, well, that's interesting. Years ago, years, and now I think about it all the time, and I go, I guess that's true. I just wait for everyone else to make the first move and comment on it. So maybe I'm just too lazy.
But I didn't start facing that until I went and got help. So I don't want to turn this into a PSA, but dude, just go do it. What do you have to lose? All you have to lose is nothing. All you have to gain is yourself.
How even just calling certain people comedy wrestlers is ridiculous and sometimes pejorative.
Yeah, it's interesting what you say about, calling someone a comedy wrestler. It's almost like disparaging way somehow. It's very funny. And some of the fun, or comedy is intentional. Some of it isn't. But comedy, if it's not in wrestling, I don't really like it.
Yeah, because there seems to be some cult of people who think that wrestling is real. That seems to be the real problem. And of course they get insulted.
And those people think that comedy isn't real.
Right. It's somehow less than. And they also think you have to be in a lot of pain for you to be respected in wrestling. It's some sort of pain Olympics.
Oh man, I broke my leg. Oh, you're like top 10 now.
Yes. But they keep making analogies with like real sports, which is stupid because wrestling's not a real sport. And then they try to make an analogy with like theater, and it turns out they've never been to a play in their lives. So I don't know what to do with these people other than tell them they're fundamentally wrong.
And because they've never been to a play, they've never walked into a theater, they've never seen a Shakespeare play, they've never seen a clown show,
yes.
They've never seen anything like it, so the only thing they can compare it to is pictures of things they think they've seen.
My thing, and maybe I'm just looking at it differently, but wrestling is inherently comedic. The timing is very, slapstick. It's just the punchline always seems to be violence.
Well, comedy wrestling is what you remember.
Oh! Just threw. Magnum CK just took Frankie Flynn out. Uh-oh. It has not been a good night for the production.
It is not. What do they call that? You're a theater guy. What do they call that when the backup has to come in and cover for the lead?
They're going to need an understudy at this point.
Understudy. There you go.
Oh, Dave Dawson was a little distracted. Allowed Swoggle to go a little low on Magnum CK. These two no strangers. They met in the first round of the JT Lightning.
Again, I liken it to magic. It's like magic to me.
Yeah.
If a magician saws his assistant in half, like, it was a great trick, but he's like, don't tell anyone.
But if that guy really sawed his assistant in half, he'd be arrested for murder.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then he would be upset if somebody did like a comedic magic act.
And people would be mad that he wasn't a good magician because he actually sawed somebody in half.
Somebody on Twitter said, that's that comedy wrestling. Can we stop calling it wrestling? Just leave the real wrestling to us. And I wrote, yeah, leave the real wrestling to us. The guys who do a fake version of actual wrestling. Like there's so many amateur wrestlers out here who hate those people, let alone us.
So another lockup coming. Maybe not the smartest move for Kid Osborne, honestly, to go, right after him, power for power, but he does. He gets lucky here.
And here comes Kid Osborne.
God forbid we, make people enjoy it.
Why? Why have a good time?
Yeah. I liked it better when it was more serious, when people had cowbells.
Yeah.
That was when we had real respect.
What's... Hey, man, we didn't book this.
Lower.
See, he's trying to get him down to his level.
I don't know if you've ever listened to the episode of the AIW podcast with Swoggle on, where they've talked about Swoggle, you got to get kind of low to get down here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a level low enough. Wow, I'm all over the place. He's really working that hold there. That Greco-Roman knuckle lock in absentia.
I think once Magnum opens up his eyes, he's in for a rude awakening.
The difference is that there's no difference.
There really isn't.
The people who are only hardcore in wrestling don't see that. I think I go, this is the exact same thing.
When comedy people come to shows that we're on, or if I bring people to an indie wrestling show that are in the comedy world, they all immediately get it 100%, are on board right away, and they want to come to the next one because it's a show.
Yeah.
It's very funny, and there is some crazy athletics, and every show is like a variety show. There's the comedy bits, there's the hardcore bits, there's something for everybody. But a pure wrestling fan who thinks comedy isn't in wrestling doesn't want to see everything. They want every match to be the same, hard-hitting, blood and guts, cage matches, guys getting hurt, guys doing suicide dives. And you've said before,
yes,
every suicide dive is unsuccessful.
Come on.
Right, Magnum CK though is deceptively tall. A lot of times you see guys on the indies and then they might make it somewhere else and you're like, they weren't as tall as I thought. No, Magnum CK is a big dude and he's in there with the smallest dude on the roster.
He's a big dude and he got the Andy Kaufman like pop when he came out, if you notice.
Yes.
Getting quite the reaction. I'd be remiss not to mention that. Swoggle on his 7th kip-up attempt. There he goes.
Shades of Dean Malenko there out of Thorne Swoggle.
He might have dislocated his shoulder with that one.
Have you ever watched wrestling with a non-wrestling person? Most of the time, even if they are enjoying it, they're laughing because it's fun.
And I heard that from here. I felt that from here. How's your chest? Wait. I think you thought the cameraman was Daniel Weeds. I think he's crying.
It might be.
Good Lord. Oh, face first off the apron there.
Oh.
The hardest part of the ring. I'll say it again. And it's...
Wow, he's seeing visions right now as Magnum CK. Oh.
Okay, Magnum CK just punched the post.
It was a good jab, too.
There's an injury.
It was a great jab.
I think you thought the post was Daniel Weeds. I cannot believe what I'm seeing here. Daniel Weeds now. Wait a minute. Got a little fisticuffs here.
Yeah, well, at least he's aiming towards Daniel Weeds this time.
Yeah, but right now, like, okay. See, oh wait, he has a chair. What the?
Keep this coming. The referee has to keep the 10 count going so Eads can retain the championship. We know he's in a bad way right now.
Did he just...
Keep him down.
Hey, we've seen Superman do that in the past, so why not?
Oh, I think that's illegal.
What are you gonna do now?
Magnum's been watching his best of Swoggle.
Thwarting him at every turn. He hates... Swoggle does not like it when people don't play along. I can't abide by that.
Oh, a nipple mare!
Holy Lord! He might have torn him off.
And if you pretend violence well enough, they think you're a great wrestler. But if in the process of pretending violence, you actually hurt somebody, you're bad at your job.
Right.
I found out in July. I swear I'm not going to be a bummer this whole time. I found out in July that there's some weird stuff going on with my back. And the reason why the fractures aren't healing is I have spina bifida.
The last time we talked, you had recently been kind of blowing up on the independent scene, getting bookings all over the place. People were blowing your phone up. And then you got some bad news.
I actually had the timeline wrong in my head. I kept thinking that the initial back injury was in February or possibly March of 2018. It turns out it actually happened in November of 2017. The back injury I had, and I didn't know about for quite some time, happened the week before I debuted at AIW. It was just a little show 10 minutes from my house, and I would use those little shows to try things out because I knew I had my first AIW match the next week and I just wanted to hit a home run. I had started using a top rope elbow drop, but I'm legitimately 6'4". I always hover around 250 pounds, and that's a lot of weight coming down on people. So I was trying to like calibrate that move. And I was wrestling with a friend of mine, and I didn't want to hurt him. And he was laying at a weird angle. And as I was coming off with the elbow drop, I wanted to lean to my left. He was on my right. I leaned to my left because I didn't want to smash him. But I leaned too far, and I basically jumped across the entire ring, and I basically just atomic dropped myself across the ring because I didn't want to smash him. You can tell that I got hurt. And then the next week I wrestled AIW for the first time, and I was kind of off to the races, and the booking started coming left, right, and center.
There's never a guarantee with wrestling. There's always a chance that something could go wrong, and any fall, any jump, any body slam, any move can seriously injure you. I knew that wrestling was fake in terms of the storylines and the way everything was set up and how it was, how they arced things and different things like that. But I didn't realize that it was still so physical.
I had to go back through tapes to find out when this even happened because I had no memory. I mean, I remember hurting myself in that match, but that happens all the time. I remember getting in the car the next week to go to AIW and being like, yeah, my back's fully jacked up. And you just don't think much of it because there's always something. And it's always your back, or it's always your leg, or it's always your shoulder, or whatever. There's always something.
I have nerve damage going all the way down my right arm. This half of my hand is numb. I don't know if you can notice on camera. I have size difference in my arms because it's starting to atrophy because I can't flex a muscle. I have no tricep, I have no upper chest.
Well, everything about Eric Ryan's hashtag Ready to Die tour has been unnecessary.
Everything about this match is going to be unnecessary.
Yeah, because I can't activate the muscle. There's no nerve activation there.
Is there anything they can do or any kind of...
I just have to let it heal. And I'm an asshole and I keep wrestling, so...
This is ridiculous. We've already got one pane of glass broken.
Probably more than 10 concussions, multiple broken nose, that pinky has been shattered.
We've got a broom now in the equation. That'll help for no reason at all. Oh! Beautiful super kick in the corner.
Broke my fingers, my whole right foot, 3 of my toes is completely broken at the moment.
I did it! Eric Ryan is a sick mother.
Now making what qualifies as a contraption over there in the corner.
I have 2 herniated discs in my back.
Oh, no.
Another pane of glass.
More glass. Now the fans are moving.
If you did not learn your lesson before, get the hell out of the way.
I guess that's what it takes.
I have no PCL in my right knee. I fractured my tibia and fibula in my left.
Bastia pulls him out. Oh, now Eric teetering precariously right above that glass.
I think that's about it.
Oh, that's all?
Oh, no. Oh, no. Through the glass, through the chairs, through the barbed wire.
The way I explain it, it is a high that no drug can reproduce. It puts endorphins in your body, like even pre-match, still to this day, I always feel like I'm gonna throw up. I get, shaky hands, nervous jitters, but as soon, like I can be as nervous as I want. As soon as I walk out, and then like I see everybody, but I see nobody, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I think you can understand. And then it just all goes away, and then it's the most comfortable I've ever been.
Yeah, you talk about life moments where I wonder where I am as a performer. I'm not going to go in depth about it, but last year I injured my actual dick in a pro wrestling match, and blood was pouring out of my dick hole. And there was a moment where I'm laying on a locker room floor, naked, cold and shamed, unlike the song, and I have nothing but someone's shirt on my dick, and I'm laying there. I'm thinking to myself, what did I do? What have I done in my life? What did I do in a previous life to get to this moment right here, right now?
All these things usually go away. Like when you get hurt like this, it might be a few months, it might be 6 months, I don't know, but it goes away usually. And this was one that you get used to ignoring it. And so when I started becoming an AIW regular, I got booked all over the place. And I was turning down booking. I'm not saying like I was raking in all this money or I was Mr. Popularity, but there was a noticed and easily marked increase. I just remember just ignoring all the pain I was going through.
He's also having issues, you know, he had been hurting, I think, for several months at the time, pretty significantly.
The kind of back pain's not going away. It's getting a little worse, but that's still kind of normal. I mean, the thing about wrestling is you get used to the pain, but it always goes away. And then, I'm driving 9 hours to Toronto overnight and coming back home, and I'm in the car, and I think, well, it must be my car seat. It's the seat of my car. There's no cushion, so I get a lumbar support. Yeah, this is like wrestler logic, right? It couldn't be that you snapped your spine or anything. And looking back, I wish I would have listened to my wife. She was like, you need to just stop taking other bookings. Just do AIW for like the rest of the year. And she was like, just heal up, whatever this is, let it heal up. And I just couldn't. It was like Icarus. I was too close to the sun, and I kept flying.
We kind of chalked it up to, oh man, I really did something to my back. And it was not a big deal at first, but then it just didn't stop. And it was definitely concerning. And I think he expected to just be able to like shake it off like he had with every other, ache or pain that he's had before. But that wasn't the case. And I think it was finally like me being like, go to the doctor, get this looked at.
And I didn't want to lose my spots at all these places. And it just kept getting worse and worse. And then eventually my physical therapist was like, we fix you up and then you come back the next week and you're worse. Like, you got to stop. And I was like, And then I finally got the call from my doctor, and they're like, well, this and this, and your results came back, and this looks good. And, the doc thinks that this pain you're having is because of the spina bifida. And I was like, what? Excuse me? She's like, yeah, your spina bifida. And I was like, that's the first time I've heard those words from my medical chart. Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, oh, they didn't tell you? I was like, no. She's like, well, we got your x-rays back. You have spina bifida occulta. And she's like, that's actually pretty common. That's, a lot of people have it. Most people never find out they have it. Or if they are diagnosed, usually this is diagnosed in the womb. So really all it is just it's a weakness in the bottom of your spinal cord. It's pretty common. And if you ever see someone with the little dimples in their lower back, which I've always had since I was a kid, those two little dimples that kind of look like C-shaped, odds are they probably have this. So it's not a life-threatening thing, and most people never even have any complications with it, but most people aren't pro wrestlers.
When we found out that, Chris had spina bifida, I tried to just handle it like it was no big deal. I mean, it was a big deal, especially given the fact that he was still actively wrestling. But I don't know. My mentality in a crisis or a stressful moment is just to be like, oh, it's going to be fine. We're going to figure that out. And, you Google it and you're like, okay, well, let's look, oh, it's this type. Okay, that's good. That it's not this type because, that would make it much, much worse. But I was cautiously optimistic that everything would be fine. But in the back of my mind, it was kind of almost immediately like, okay, well, you've got to be done with this now. One wrong move and that could really affect, I think, his livelihood for the rest of his life, and therefore everybody in our family. He handled it fairly well. He doesn't always handle things fairly well, but he did handle this one fairly well, and I think that he was definitely in one of his thinking patterns about it, and I could tell that. I mean, it was kind of mind blowing, and it certainly was a big deal and something to for us to concern ourselves with.
And I even wrestled you know, when I had this injury happen, I was just starting my 7th year of active wrestling, you know, I mean, and it had never been a problem, but because I never landed that way before, you know, I just hit it the right way. And then it turns out I had all these stress fractures in my spine and they weren't healing because, you know, they couldn't heal because I was constantly wrestling. And then it got to the point where the doctor's like, you know, at some point, if we don't change something, we're going to have to probably, if this gets worse, like she's like, I'm worried that this could be a full-on break. And you're going to have a you know, not just little fractures in your back, which is scary, in your spine, which is scary enough, but you're gonna have a broken back, and we might have to start some kind of fusion here. And you know, my uncle was a wrestler, had fusion and all that, so it scared the hell out of me, and I could barely walk, you know, but I just had to make the hard choice.
When he sent me that message that he had to retire, I never felt worse for somebody in my entire life. You go through, like as a promoter, you know, guys come and go all the time. But this one was different because it was like, it was so quick. You know, he had kind of burst into the AW scene, and through that platform, started getting booked more places, and more people were talking about him.
I first met Magnum. He came through Rochester, New York, where I'm from. I mean, honestly, I didn't know much of him. I know that he was very on the phone with his wife a lot. So while I respect that, you know, like family guy, loves his family. But then when he came here and started doing the production gimmick and started doing this thing, I mean, he knows it because I've told him it was unbelievable. He an instant star, and he exudes that through everything. Yeah, I mean, I thought he should have won the gauntlet for the gold here. I thought he should have won the J-Lit tournament, and I think a lot of other people out there thought the same thing, and that's because he exudes it. He puts it out, and it was special.
You know, I don't even know if Magnum knows this, but you know, he was being groomed to main event our big show Absolution, and we were going to make him the champion. He was going to be the absolute champion.
On the independent level, a person like Magnum is a dime a dozen. You don't find people like that. Good human, good soul. I just wish I would have had more time with him.
First moment I met Magnum CK, I was just an anxious newcomer who was afraid to talk to everybody because, you know, he was the new kid and they just wanted, you know, yell at him to go do this or that. And it's kind of how wrestling is, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he was one of the first people who kind of said, hey, my name's Magnum, it's nice to meet you. And he made me feel welcome in an environment where I was still afraid to be here.
That was so heartbreaking. Not because he wasn't going to be able to win the championship and do a storyline, but like, he was a guy that you could tell really felt like this was it. Like, he was starting to get more bookings, and you could tell that in his head he realized that his hard work and everything he did was paying off.
The only thing I really want to say is he is the best professional wrestler I've ever met. In ring, he's amazing. But when I say the best professional wrestler, I mean he's a professional wrestler. The nicest human being. And John Thorne told me the situation about a week ago, and it made me really sad because Magnum deserves that run. Magnum deserves that spotlight. He deserves that stardom. I don't even know the word, but he deserves it. He deserves so much more, and I'm lucky to have been able to wrestle with him, and I'm even luckier to be able to call him now a friend.
I'll never forget, Kevin Owens sent me a text message. And he asked, he's like, what's going on with Magnum CK? And to my knowledge, I don't think have ever met each other. And he said, like, that is so awful because he really enjoyed watching his promo videos. He had paid attention to all the promos that he was releasing for AIW and all the videos that he was creating, and he was kind of following his career, so to speak. And that kind of shows you how many people were paying attention to Magnum CK in this small little time period. And for him to, find out when his career is like hitting a stride is devastating. I didn't know what to say to him. I just said, he told me that he wanted to have one last match, and I said absolutely. And I told him, say everything you need to say. You have as much time as you would like, because I knew that this was going to be probably the most difficult thing he ever had to do in his life.
Well, it seems to me that Friday night is shaping up to be a night of lasts. In that case, I think it's important to remember that the production is more than just a faction, that Magnum CK is more than just a sports entertainer, and that AIW is much, much more than a venue. You see, a building is only as important as the history that unfolds between its walls. But Trey, Chase, you need to remember that you are getting one more chance. You have one final opportunity afforded to you to step foot onto holy ground. In that case, I think it's important to remind you, gentlemen, that while your feet might be on holy ground, your eyes will be fixed on a sinner. I embrace my sins. I can still feel the warm blood dripping down the handle of every knife I have ever stabbed into my friends' backs. I can still hear the symphony of every silver-tongued lie I've ever told that's unlocked the treasures of this world to me. I can sit back and smile like a pig in its own filth as I wallow in the muck of avarice. I embrace my sins because my sins brought me to the dance. And where I come from, you dance with who brung you. Boys, on Friday, don't worry about your dancing shoes. Bring your working boots. 'Cause if I'm going down, I'm taking everything with me.
Dig it down. 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 Down. Dig it down. Dig it down. Dig it down. Down. Dig it down. Dig it down. Dig it down. Down. Dig it down. Dig it down. Dig it down. Down. Dig it down. Dig it down. Dig it down.
in his part.
Wow. Different circumstances tonight, folks.
I would say Derek Director vested interest even more so than usual in seeing the production, as you have to imagine by virtue of his presence out there that he may be in line to take Magnum's place as a tag team champion should the production retain, but that may have just gone out the window. Samad kick on point. Only those kicks to the sternum.
Spine buster.
And a beauty.
Double A style.
And wait a second, Trey Lamar in, but he's
no, another one. That's true. He's still feeling it though.
See him grabbing the neck a little bit. You have to wonder.
Oh, what did we go for? Yeah, sharpshooter. Sharpshooter.
Wow. He is
Red hard
down in it.
Sting is. Watch out behind you!
But Trey measured up. Right to that injured back. Trey Lamar was explaining beforehand. Of course, for those of you watching this at home, you've already seen the promo that they cut earlier. He was explaining to me, listen, these guys, they understand. Wait, Magnum rolls him up. Magnum threw it. CK rolled up. Chase Oliver got him. I was going to say, they understood the situation. They didn't care.
Do you understand? He's retiring as a tag champ.
Yes, indeed. Magnum CK said he's retired, and I see the serious back injuries. And you have to imagine Derek Director, perhaps. Who knows? We said
Free ball
rules apply. The production will retain the tag titles.
It's time. I don't think I'm going to retire. Not as long as I have this.
Oh, wow.
Excuse me. I just want to say you've been a good kid. I'm going to take this off your hands. Thank you. And not as long as I have this. There might be some greener pastures out there. And I'm thinking maybe Orlando, South Beach sounds kind of nice. What about Los Angeles? The only difference is I'm leaving Cleveland just like LeBron. But the only difference is I'm leaving with some championships.
Wow. On Magnum CK, we were explaining the situation when it would appear he pulled one over on all of us. Wow. Proclaimed himself the greatest actor in AIW. We all bought it hook, line, and sinker. Wait a minute.
Oh, wow! Weird World!
Weird World out here. They've got those trophies that they won as the initial Chandler Biggott's Memorial Cup.
And they get a title shot, am I correct?
Worldwide pulling Clemens out.
Bring them down!
Yeah, Weird World is cashing in that tag title shot they got.
Just one time.
We got Weird Body over here.
Get away from me! Get away! Jesus H! No, I'm not helping nobody. CK's in the ring right now, working on Worldwide's leg. Oh, wait. I'm in the camera.
Director's going for a ride. Magnum CK.
Weird Body, get back in there. Worldwide's in trouble.
Oh my God. Weird Body just laid out Frankie Flynn.
That was a hard four.
Weird Body's taking out two guys at once out here. Meanwhile, in the ring, figure 4 applied by Magnum CK. Knee to the midsection.
Oh, no, look at that.
Lands on his feet. Has all potential challengers scouted.
He's up top right now.
Whoa! Weird Body.
me 1 second. Everyone's like, we didn't pay to watch this guy drink water. Thank you. I don't want to overstay my welcome. The back injury is very real. We just thought we'd have a little fun with you guys, but I got hurt and there were rumblings of AIW Tag Team Championships, which is not something I'd ever think that I'd even be in the same room with, let alone be considered for. I would have gotten in here if my head was hanging off if I had to wrestle for those championships. So I found out in July, I swear I'm not going to be a bummer this whole time. I found out in July that there's some weird stuff going on with my back. And the reason why the fractures aren't healing is, one, I'm a big time wrestler. I have spina bifida, which is weird. Oh shit. I tried, guys. So I found out in June or July, and I did physical therapy. I cut down on bookings. I was basically doing AIW for the most part, and it's just getting worse. It's going down my leg. I can't lift weights. I mean, not that you can tell. So I was left with a pretty harsh decision, and my goal was to at least try to make it to WrestleMania, because AIW going to WrestleMania is amazing, and I wanted to be in that ring. But when they start talking to you about spinal fusion, and I start seeing the family members of mine that were pro wrestlers that went down that road, it's not a very good road. So I'm doing all I can to heal up these fractures and not have to have spinal fusion surgery. So that means I have to step out of what I love probably more than anything.
We love you.
I like you. I'd like to date around a little bit, though.
Buying breakfast.
Thank you very much. So, all I ever wanted was to be good at this. And, somebody's got to be a professional wrestler. Why not you? But I want to tell you, tell you all, that is applicable to everything that you want to do. And I don't want to be corny here, but it's true, man. I mean, aside from like Space Pirate or something, like, let's be reasonable. But if you want to do something, somebody has to do it. I'm looking around here. Everybody wants to either be a professional wrestler, a referee, a manager, whatever it is. And they're here. Look at them. They're doing it. They're all doing it. It doesn't have to be pro wrestling, but whatever it is you want to do, goddamn, do it. Somebody has to be one, why not you? So, as all this comes to a close, I want to say, one of the guys who inspired me, aside from, Hot Rod, aside from Ric Flair, aside from Rick Rude, was a fellow named Andy Kaufman. And Andy Kaufman Magnum didn't get to have the wrestling career that I have. He's certainly more famous than I'll ever be, but he didn't get to get in this ring and do it like we do it, okay? He also didn't get to go out like I probably figured he'd want to go out. And since I get the choice, I thought maybe if you guys would help me out, I'd go out like how I figure Andy would probably want to go out. So Traxler, if you don't mind. So, until we meet again, always remember, in this friendly world, with each day so full of joy, why should it be hard to be lonely? In this friendly world, with each night so full of dreams, why should it be hard to be free? The world is such a wonderful place to wander through, and you've got someone you love to wander along with you. With the sky so full of stars and the river so full of song, every heart should be so thankful. Yep, it's a friendly world. But you know, turn up a little bit, we should treat each other like brothers and sisters. So look to your left and look to your right and say, hi brother, hi sister, come on. Around your brothers and sisters and sway along to the rhythm of music, and I need you to sing with me, okay? How about a chorus? Here we go. The world is such a wonderful place to wander through, when you've got someone you love to wander along with you. Everybody! With the sky so full of stars and the river so full of song, everyone should be so thankful. Thankful for what? Thankful for this friendly world. One time with me, you can do that one. Here we go. Thankful for this friendly world. Last time, here we go. Thankful for this friendly world. Thank you all so much.
Worst I've hurt myself is hopping up to the apron like on a knee, and the apron had no padding on it, so it was just shin bone on like the frame of the ring. It's the dumbest. Let me call my.
Breaks your heart to touch the ground.
The piece de la resistance, if you would hold this up for the camera and maybe explain this for us.
I don't know if we're allowed to. That's what I was thinking.
What do we have here, friend?
Barbed wire hula hoop.
Don't be punching me. Bump again. Bump the feet. Third time, go like, stop, wait a minute. Could you out of that? We can yeah, that's exactly it. But what I was saying is, if you guys all three bump, and then I take the flare corner, up and over, I'm on the apron, I stop. Drop the John Stossel, this motherfucker. when you're doing an outdoor show outside of a normal arena, your locker room is basically a U-Haul truck, or even better, beside a U-Haul truck in someone's yard.
Hey, so did you guys know that I originally had a hotel booked for WrestleMania, and then I got hurt and couldn't go to WrestleMania weekend, so we moved it.
We wanted to see if this is something you guys would be interested in doing this weekend.
Ooh, really?
What is it?
Is this in New York? This weekend? Are we just gonna skip everything?
We're leaving right now.
Vegan! You like bagpipes? You wanna go see him? Don't throw no more smoke in my face, Mr. Downey. What are you guys doing?
Signing it.
No. Okay. We have marks.
There's a very famous song up here in Canada.